Hello, Darshan Maharaja here. Today there is this big news about the temporary foreign worker program and labor market impact assessment. They are linked issues. I saw this headline in Toronto Star. It says federal government announces crackdown on bad actors abusing the temporary foreign worker program. CBC's headline says government considering blocking low wage temporary foreign workers. So naturally the question is this a crackdown or are they considering? Now, curiously, neither of these taxpayer funded media outlets has thought it necessary to provide a link to the official government announcement. Yours truly did that, and I will bring the details to you. And then you can judge whether this is a crackdown or they are considering it, or this is just a load of baloney. Basically, I mean, this is the possibility I want you to keep open in your mind that this issue has heated up and they now need to do narrative control. And is this an exercise in narrative control? So at the end of this chat, hopefully I'll have given you enough information to conclude one way or the other. Now, let's look at the details from the website of Employment and Social Development Canada, that is ESDC, which made the announcement, which Toronto Star and CBC have supposedly reported on. Uh, there is they are going to be very strict about the 20% limit uh, that an employer cannot hire more than 20% of its workforce as temporary foreign workers. Now, let us remember that this limit used to be 10%. Then it was increased to 20% because there were labor shortages owing to the lockdowns during COVID. And this has left an unresolved question in my mind. If it was too dangerous for Canadians to work, so they were ordered locked down, which created labor shortages, how do you import workers from elsewhere and expect them not to be in the same kind of danger as well? This question has remained unanswered for 3 4 years. I will not delve into that right now, but the limit that was doubled from 10% to 20% remains. That doesn't sound like a crackdown to me. I mean, it was whatever the justification, it was an exceptional circumstance that justified the doubling of the limit from 10% to 20%. Now that we are back in normal times and have been for a while, the limit needs to go back to where it was, that is 10%. So if the 20% limit is kept, is it a crackdown? Question number one. Now, the minister is saying that there will be stricter and more rigorous oversight over the applications for work permits for foreigners, temporary foreign workers. Now, oversight, they don't have an exemplary record on oversight. Remember Les Marouf, who was hired to lecture public servants on anti-racism and who was known, in fact, not discovered, he was known to be a raging anti-Semite. And they hired him, they gave him a contract for 133,000. And when the whole thing blew up, Minister Hussain at the time, he said that his contract has been cancelled and no further money will be paid, which turned out to be a empty solace because all the money under the contract had been paid already. Then they said we'll try to recover it, and naturally this kind of a thing will be forgotten as time passes. So everybody has forgotten that, but we do remember that their oversight uh, is not something to write home about. Then recently we had Birju Dattani, who was appointed as the head of the Human Rights Commission. And then it came to light that he had made some questionable posts on the on social media. So once again, their oversight had failed, which I think they have admitted. So, a promise to exercise stricter and more rigorous oversight is not very reassuring coming from this bunch. Let's move on. They are saying that they are considering increasing the fees that the employers have to pay for processing these work permits. Now, the ground reality is that this fee, which ostensibly the employer pays to the government, is recovered from the would-be employee. When the work permit is being sold for $40,000, $50,000, even $60,000, increasing this $1,000 fee to what, 2,000, 3,000, it's not going to matter. Anyway, the would-be hiree is paying it. It will only increase their indebtedness. So this is also not something meaningful that they have announced. Now, the minister says he's looking to implement future regulatory changes regarding employer eligibility. There is no implementation. He is looking to implement future regulatory changes regarding employer eligibility. Now, he says number of years the employer has been in business and the history of layoffs. So again, it comes down to oversight, where we don't have much confidence in this gang. But more importantly, there is this nagging issue that it hasn't been talked about much, if at all, which is that when it is found that an employer had exploited a foreign worker, and then the foreign worker can apply to be put under the vulnerable worker program. I'm not sure of the exact term, but something like that. In that case, the employer is penalized. There is a financial penalty to pay, but they can continue to get more foreign workers under work permits. But if they fail to pay the penalty, then they are no longer eligible to bring foreign workers on work permits. So exploiting workers is okay. We can live with that, but we draw the line at not paying the penalty. That is where we are at. So I don't know what he is looking to implement in terms of future regulatory changes. Now, here's the kicker. He says he's considering Minister Guasono. He says he's considering implementing refusal to process under the low wage stream. Again, this is not a done deal. He is considering it, something for the future. So he's making the right noises to keep all camps happy, I think. That is my assessment. But he says considering implementing refusal to process under the low wage stream. Now, this flies directly in the face of the announced plan to give permanent residency to tier 4 and tier 5 workers who are here on work permit. So those are low wage occupations. If he is considering implementing refusal to process, how are they going to get those permanent residents? I think this is empty words, to put it mildly. But given all the facts that I have narrated to you, maybe you can form your opinion and let me know what you think, whether this is actually a crackdown or an exercise in narrative control. You can let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye and be well.